Ever since I can remember, I've known that I'm adopted. She said, you know, at least my parents wanted me. And, you know, it was such an absurd conversation for two adopted sisters to be having anyway, but this time it was really different. That night, my mom told me that my biological mother had had an abortion during her 5th month of pregnancy with me, and I had survived it. That night changed my life. It's one of those things that I don't think anybody could ever be prepared for. They didn't think much about my life or, you know, my ability and my capacity to have life, and so that was incredibly hurtful for me.
Over the past 36 years, over 50 million children's lives have been lost to abortion.
Living through this, and I can't even say moving past it, because I'm never going to be past it, because it truly is just a part of who I am. I gave birth to my first child. Our daughter, Olivia, was born on April 26th of this past year at the very same hospital where my mother had the abortion.
And talk about that. I know a lot of people who are pro-life, they will say except in cases of rape, and maybe if you could talk about that and how difficult
she did not choose life for me. She chose abortion, but pro-life advocates chose life for me, and they're my heroes. That's why I'm sitting here with you today.
She was 7.5 months pregnant when she decided to go to Planned Parenthood, which is the largest abortion provider in the world, and they counseled her 1977 in a Los Angeles County abortion clinic. What's fantastic about this, about the perfect timing of my arrival, is that the abortionist was not on duty yet. So he wasn't even given the opportunity to continue on with his plan for my life. And so I was delivered alive, as I've already said, after 18 hours. I should be blind, I should be burned, I should be dead. And yet I'm not. I read a quote from him at some point several years ago, and he said, I have aborted over 1 million babies, and I consider it my passion. How much are you willing to take, and how much are you willing to risk to speak the truth in love and graciousness and stand up and at least be willing to be hated? Or at the end of the day, is it all about you?
When I looked at some medical books and saw the scientific evidence ahead of me, as I mentioned, I was baby Christian for such a long time. Even though I was a Christian, very pro-choice. I always have, and I will continue to fight for women's rights. And so even though maybe I wouldn't have one myself, who am I to impose my beliefs on someone else? It's a woman's body, it's her choice. I picked up the phone, I called Planned Parenthood, help me out here, give me your best arguments. And the best arguments were, well, if you get it, it's just a clump of cells. If you get it early enough, it doesn't even look like a baby.
I'm asked to go into the room. I go into the room, and the doctor tells me that my job during the abortion procedure is going to be to hold the ultrasound probe on the woman's abdomen during the procedure so that he can see the woman's uterus on the ultrasound. This doctor is going to do one, and I'm thinking this is going to be a really good learning experience for me. If I'm going to be running this place, if I'm going to be running the largest abortion facility in the United States in the next few years, I need to know about all the different types of abortion procedures that are out there. So this is going to be a really good learning experience. But I'm trying to psych myself up about it and get back into the moment, and all of a sudden I see that cannula, that instrument that looks like kind of like a drinking straw. It's a hard plastic. That's what's hooked up to the suction machine. And I see that go into the woman's uterus. I've never seen that before. The minute that we become numb to a child losing its life is the moment that we have lost. And so as I'm watching this take place on the screen, I'm replaying that answer, trying to reassure myself that this 13-week-old child was not feeling what was happening to it inside the woman's womb. And right as I'm replaying that response in my head, I see that child's foot jerk. And I see that child begin to flail its arms and legs, and I see it begin to move away from that cannula, and it was if that baby knew its life was in danger. I wanted to sit this woman up and tell her to yell, "Stop." I wanted her to see what was happening to her child. But she was, of course, sedated. She never sees what's really inside of her womb. Because the truth would be too much.
Really different. That night my mom told me that my biological mother had an abortion during her fifth
to abort me. And she did not choose life for me. She chose abortion, but pro-life advocates chose.
And then up until 2002 was, in my country, was to end the life of an abortion survivor by strangulation, suffocation, leaving the baby there to die, or throwing the baby away.
Because the truth would be too much. The truth would be too much.